What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Avarice Podcast. Another TV series commentary today. Going to be doing episode 3 from season 1 of The Wire. Getting my coffee situation squared away here at the moment. And then I will take a seat, smoke a little weed, and watch a little Wire. You can join along for the ride. Any one of those parts that you want to join along for. You can watch The Wire with me. You can just listen. You can drink coffee if you want to. You can drink something else. You can drink nothing at all. You can smoke a little weed if you want. You can do something else if it's... You can drink a beer. You can do nothing. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. No, you need to stay here. Stay exactly where you are. Unless you're wearing headphones, listening to this on your phone. Then get up, move around. Let me occupy that part of your brain that's always nagging at you. Let you get into your flow state. You know what I'm talking about. So, season 1, episode 3. Watching it on Prime, of course. Probably gonna have to contend with a fucking advertisement at the beginning of the episode. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think this is where we really start to get into the good parts of The Wire. The writing, the depth starts to get a chance to show itself, and we've become more invested and familiar with the various characters, so their interactions make more sense to us, and we're getting exposure of their traits and flaws as we go along. Okay. Come on, yeah. Okay. Wire. Watch episode 3 now. I just want to make sure that it's queued up and that there's not a preview or something at the beginning. So I'm going to click on it now, and then I might have to rewind it. And yeah, see, there's a Sneaky Pete advertisement here at the beginning, these motherfuckers. Okay. Now I'm pushing play on the actual episode. It's entitled The Buys. Season 1, episode 3. Playing in 3, 2, 1, play. It's not HBO. It's regular ass TV. Fucking Dave Chappelle. I can't help but think that when I see the HBO thing. Man, it's 9 o'clock. You already fiending on it. Man. God damn, what an existence. Up early in the morning so you can get your fucking fix. So we've been slowly learning that D'Angelo has a better heart than most of the people involved in this racket. And he presents perhaps a naive idea, but it's a novel one and one that makes you think. He says, why do we have to treat these junkies like assholes? Why do we gotta beat them and shit? Why can't it just be an even exchange? And that's the criminal element of it, honestly. If it was legal, I live in Portland, in Oregon. Weed is legal here. If you're of age, you go into a store, show them your ID, you buy weed. I'm never worried that the dude at the counter is gonna beat me up. In fact, I'll probably beat his ass if it comes down to it. The shadiness is taken out of it. The mystery is taken out of it. It's all legit. So there's no crime based around it. People don't get robbed outside the weed store. So the fiends are coming around looking for testers. And testers, I guess, is when they get a new batch of shit. They put out like a sample. They give all the fiends in the area a free sample, let them try their stuff, and a fiend's always going to need his shit. So the idea being he's going to come back to you when he needs more. They're going to get it somewhere. They don't go without. That's not how it works. And we're back to the hat thing. Whoever he puts the hats on is important to the investigation, and they need to take pictures of it. When you walk through the garden, you better watch your back. Well, I beg your pardon, off the straight and narrow track. If you walk with Jesus, he'll save your soul. Gotta keep the devil down in the hole. The angels sing when Jesus by your soul. Sorry. It gets good to me. I never skip the intro song to The Wire. You know how there's ones that you like, but if you're watching a marathon, eventually you get sick of it and you start skipping them, or you watch them every third time. I don't get sick of the intro to The Wire. And I still remember the thought I had the first time I saw it. I went, this looks kind of cheesy. This looks kind of corny to me. And it is anything but. If it's a spectrum and corny and cheesy is on one end, The Wire is all the way on the other end. If it's a bell curve, The Wire is setting the trend. Like, as real as it fucking gets. The king stay the king, D'Angelo. That'll come up later during the chess game. So this meeting is to discuss the kid that Pryzbylewski smacked with his gun, who is now blind in one eye, and how they're going to spin it, basically, and cover their own ass and not own up to the truth. And the fact that the kid has charges on his record isn't going to help him out. It's corrupt and twisted, but that's what I love about the show. It shows you how shit really works. It's entertainment as well as education. It makes you look at the world in a different way. And you see how the shit comes tumbling downhill, and you see where they juke the numbers, and you see how the newspaper influences the politicians, influences the lawmakers or the law enforcement, or you see that relationship between those three entities. How the cops try to keep the newspapers from getting information, the politicians try to keep newspapers from getting information, and they actually do, like, weaponize the media. They release what they want you to know. They tell you what they want you to think on a certain subject. I mean, later in the 5th season, we get shit that's just straight up made up by the cops and the newspapers. And Daniels is in a rock and a hard place. He knows that they fucked up, but if he hangs them out to dry, it's not good leadership. If he doesn't hang them out to dry, it gets pinned on him. He made the mistake. Valchek is Pryzbylewski's father-in-law, if you didn't know. This poor bastard. Valchek just got saddled with Pryzbylewski because his daughter married the fucking hap. Useless dunce. At least at this point in the show. He becomes useful later on. He becomes a great character, but at this point, he fucking sucks. Look at what we're giving you. Isn't it shiny? It's shiny. Isn't it shiny? So basically, you're going to be the shield on this one, and we'll compensate you on the back end if we get through it.
Deputy, always a pleasure.
And this is the politics of non-politics. These guys aren't politicians, but they're still politics within the police department. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. One hand washes the other.
What's necessary? Thanks for not cutting Presbolewski loose. If you had, the department would be caught between Valtech and City Hall.
Yeah. They have to keep Presbolewski. They don't have a choice. They're going to have a fucking shitstorm on their hands if they get rid of him. Which is ridiculous, because he's so incompetent. At least at this point. The detail in the case becomes a vehicle for Presbolewski to discover his wheelhouse and his path and what he's good at and his potential. And then from then on, he begins to exercise that. But at this point in the story, he's fucking hopeless. Look at Fat John Cena.
Are you saying that you know definitely that this man was not killed because he testified?
See, they're straight up lying to the media here. They know that Gant was killed because he's a witness, but they don't want to start a shitstorm. They don't want the public to be in an uproar over this, and it would discourage people from coming forward in cases in the future if they don't feel protected.
No, Bunk. Shame on you, lad.
What you expect him to do?
I know, grab the mic, shove rolls to the ground.
And McNulty has a code. McNulty's not about that toeing the line bullshit.
That sounds more like one of your
So he's ashamed of Bunk out there toeing the line.
been working on him too.
They got a fucking cork board up.
Fucking embarrassed.
Names, pictures, ranks, and they still don't have a picture of Avon Barksdale. They have no idea what... They could see him at the grocery store, and they'd have no idea.
Need to know what he looks like.
That's how you run your shit. Like, that's
Barksdale's never been
laying in the cut.
by photo.
He's the head of this drug empire, and nobody outside of it knows what he looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. But seeing as we all came into work today, I thought, what the hell, let's try something different. So, we know from his mother's social
See,
service
McNulty's trying to get these fucking guys to help do something. They're reading the paper, they're hungover half the time, if not drunk at work.
being vaguely familiar with
So he's tasking them with the idea of, why don't you go find this motherfucker's picture?
of every registered resident as a security measure. Am I correct, Detective Greggs?
So you want us to get out of the house
Ring dings.
and pull this photo?
Excellent. You know, you and I, we think as one. We're like two horses together in a harness.
Why don't you fucking do it yourself?
I hate people like you.
Desk reviewing homicide.
You deserve to give back your money.
Trying to run down a few new leads. Scoring
Just filling a slot for a certain amount of time and getting paid for it, not actually doing any work. If you only got paid by the cases you solved, you'd be out there hustling your ass off, wouldn't you? If you didn't get to have any booze tonight till you found that fucking picture, you'd be on it. Get your worthless piece of shit ass out of here.
I'm a leader of men.
No, you think so, but you're not.
Yo,
You want to be a superstar, not a leader.
why not?
Cuz we got a red cat. They said we had a new package tomorrow.
New package.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this we got stepped on shit. We got out here because these fiends agitated.
Look at him. They still buying it though.
Yeah, they burn twice as much and only getting half as high.
See, it doesn't matter even the quality. The Fiend needs his shit. They'll just keep coming back.
And your cats will move up and down and sideways. Like,
They're playing checkers with a chessboard.
yo, why you put a child on the chest bed?
Why you give a shit?
I've never seen that in my life.
That's a pathetic game, yo.
They don't know how the pieces move or anything.
Y'all don't know how to play chess, do you?
They don't know the strategy. I don't know much of the strategy. I just start doing shit. I've never bothered to learn. Seems like it would consume my life. Seems like one of those things that you just become obsessed with.
All right, man.
And I don't know anybody who's balling out of control because they're
See this?
great at chess.
This the kingpin.
they might be balling out of control and great at chess, but is it because they're great at chess? Probably not.
So you got protected. Now the king, he moved one space any direction he damn choose, cause he's the king. Like this.
And this is where the quote's going to come into play, the king stay the king.
But the rest of these motherfuckers on the team, they got his back. And they run so deep, he really ain't gotta do shit. I like your uncle.
Yes, he's describing Avon.
You see this? It's the queen.
Or
She's smart, she fierce.
Burrell,
Any way she wants,
the commissioner.
and she is the go get shit done piece.
He's basically just talking. He takes information from one place and he delegates
And it's over here.
to the other people. He's just like an intermediary, but he's also the head decision maker.
Move like this.
Whereas Avon, like, yeah, he makes decisions and all the actions are carried out by other people.
This week. Right? And every time we move the stash, we gotta move a little muscle with it, right? And protect it.
True. You right. Alright. What about the little bald-headed bitches right there?
He's got to use the drug game as a context to explain chess to them.
They like the soldiers.
They're you guys. You guys are the pawns.
Only. Except when they fight. And it's like this.
It's called diagonal, bro.
They be out in the field.
So how do you get to be the king?
It ain't like that. See, the king, stay the king. Alright?
You get to be the queen.
Stay where he is.
And queen does anything she wants.
Made all the way down to the other.
I loved having two queens. I've played chess a decent amount. I just never was able to piece together the strategies and know how you even go about starting the game. I just fucking play. Just decide what I'm doing when I'm doing it.
I win. If you catch the
But
other dude's king,
making a pawn to the other end and getting a second queen, ooh,
I'm top dog.
fuck some shit up that.
Yo, it ain't like that. Look.
Because it can move infinitely in any direction. So you were able to cut the board
Be out the game.
down significantly when it comes to the maneuverability of the king, and you can just close in on him.
Nah, fucking believe this?
That's the wire setup that they have for tape recording conversations on somebody's body. It's full of dust.
Lightweights.
It's the size of a Sega Game Gear.
Yeah, they got those.
Wear this on a warm day and they don't know.
It's an
Even if they do a
it's an
half-ass-
analog fucking reel-to-reel recorder.
You can't send his ass in the prison.
It's so big. Did they ever actually use that?
And the girl. The lizard from narcotics. They got the file.
Who you partnered with?
Now this motherfucker.
But he don't have shit to do with me, and I don't want nothing to do with him either.
Rawls is going to use him as his mole,
We don't want a car that's
and he's got leverage on him because of his success rate solving cases. He's a shitty detective. He's another guy just filling a seat, cashing a check.
Like that newspaper article. If Balti's planning any more bullshit like that, I gotta be able to tell the deputy before the shit flies.
And Rawls is another one of those guys that's in a position where he just kind of takes information from the king and distributes it to his troops. Not a lot of actual action on his part. Smoke-filled room. They're typing away on their typewriters, filling out paperwork. And Freeman's over here building dollhouse furniture. It's funny, he's a good cop. We don't know that yet.
Lieutenant.
And he's very good at investigating, but he seems to have no feeling of obligation toward filling out paperwork, helping with surveillance. Not until somebody asks him. He hasn't really sunk his teeth into this yet. But he explains that a little bit later on. He doesn't want to dance unless he's going to get to feel some tit.
People on some of your shit. You
Basically saying, I'm not going to the prom unless it's with a girl that I have a chance with. I'm not doing some platonic prom date. I'm not going to take off my jacket and roll up my sleeves and start working on this project unless it's a project worth working on. These fucking useless...
This is Barksdale? On Barksdale.
They've been paying so little attention to the case
My lips.
that they came back with a picture of a middle-aged white guy as for Avon's Barksdale. Avon Barksdale.
This is a middle-aged white man.
Hey, you want something different? You give me another name. That's the only Avon.
I want you to do a good job. That's what I want. I want you to not drink for a day.
Have a nice fucking day.
I want you to fucking be worth something.
Maybe he's white. No, I mean really.
That would be a twist.
Avon Barksdale.
But you know that he's D'Angelo's uncle. So D'Angelo would have to be
Jackson Barksdale.
like
Well, no. Educated
half white.
schools, early addresses in the same public housing where he now lives.
Can't you figure out who D'Angelo's mom is and then look at her siblings?
Pretty much comes up out of nowhere.
Work history, tax information we can look at.
No work history or tax information. He's been in the game his whole life.
No priors either.
Oh,
What's up? Talk that shit now, baby.
information states he stays in various apartments.
Look at those typewriters.
Addresses undetermined.
Back when I was real little, I was probably like 6, 7. I had an old ass typewriter under my bed. Nobody in my house wanted it or wanted to use it for anything, so they just let me fuck around with it. So I'm like 7 years old. One day I decided I'd get it in my head, I'm gonna write a book. And I just essentially started typing out facts. Now Freeman's heard something because he's got something he can chase down. He heard the Avon box Golden Gloves.
You claim to know him way back when.
And they're caught off guard because this is the first time he's spoken. He normally just sits over there working on his miniature furniture.
Everything.
The patience of that. I don't like working on something for a little while and then leaving it 10% done and then coming back to it and doing another 10% and doing it in shifts like that. I like to finish stuff when I start it. I don't like all these loose hangs in the back of my mind. He's tried to sell a cop drugs. But as we've seen before, it's compartmentalized and certain cops don't give a fuck. He's that's not what he's the job he's on right now, so he's just gonna keep walking. He knows where to go. He's been here before, it seems like. Damn, look at that place. I want to find a place like that. Look like, never mind. We talking about practice?
Few questions I want to ask you, Mac.
Keep your hand moving. Work to the body, some man.
So who's your target?
Poof. Clean and sterile, fucking FBI office.
That's the thing.
I think they actually changed it to like the Department of Homeland Security.
He's completely off the radar. Barksdale.
Special Agent Fitzhugh.
There's a couple of pages on
Fitzhugh.
nothing in NCIC, no adult arrest.
Ugh, those cubicles though. Think you got a big important job working for the government and they sit you in a fucking cubicle next to a bunch of other assholes.
Watch this.
You're just hearing each other's sneezes and farts all day. This is like police porn, watching a drug bust go down. Riot gear. Make me happy in pants.
Why not? All them mopes and bracelets. Not one of them named Osama.
Still I owe you, brother. What do you need?
A lightweight body mic, wireless, remote taking capability.
You're basically watching the symbolic end of the federal
Just happy to be in the 20th century.
side of the drug enforcement. They're getting into terrorism because this is right after 9/11. And that's everybody's hot button issue.
Man, no problem.
Jimmy, you got pulled with the feds. This is decent.
All right, y'all know what the fuck this is. Up against the wall. Hurry the fuck up.
Like they're prison guards. Get against the wall, and they just go because they're fiends. They got to get their free sample.
Shit, man. What the fuck you looking at me for? Get your ass around the corner.
What a strange culture and setup. Everybody just knows the deal. Ooh, Omar. Yes, it's about time. Omar coming. No homo. I mean, he is, but I'm not. Omar is my favorite character in the show. He's just cold.
Yeah, you see that?
So he's casing out the joint with his crew.
Real raggedy ass shit here, boy.
Patient.
Very slow.
Patient. He sits back, he watches, he listens, and he knows where the windows of opportunity are when he can catch them slipping. And he just catches them slipping. It's pretty easy for him. That's part of the weirdness of how obvious their setup is. You just got to pay a little bit of attention and you see the ins and outs of the whole thing. Mini Dunkin' Donuts advertisement.
Hey, Bumps, how come you got all this wisdom? Your life's so fucking hard. How about you? You ever been married?
Ain't that the truth? Sometimes you can be full of advice, but you don't know how to give it to yourself or follow it.
You ain't gonna say anything I am.
What?
Oh, McNulty doesn't know that she's a lesbian yet.
What, so I'm a dog now?
Yo, Bubs. I date women.
Well, there we are. We got something else in common. I date women too. Let's see, I can't work this out with me.
You guys ever heard of this thing called a lesbian man?
It's better that than have every
So
3 shifts hounding you.
he likes to. It's men that like to be fucked by women. So they're
It's not like
straight men, I guess.
dyke flag in the ass some shit.
They like to be fucked in the ass
I know I'm
by women wearing strap-ons, but only by women. They're not attracted to dudes at all.
Should have known.
And it's called a lesbian man.
Female police officer is worth a damn. Only
So does that mean that's all you like to do? You never fuck her? What's in it for her? I'm confused. I just heard about this recently and I was like, what? That's like a joke we used to make in middle school. Like, you're a lesbian? Oh, me too. I like girls. I don't like them to fuck me. I'm not trying to get pegged like Usher. Pissed on like R. Kelly.
But, talking about some old
Shit on like John McAfee.
you know what I'm saying? I wasn't about to stay scared. You get your ass kicked, once or twice, you realize it's not the end of the world, right? Most of the women, they don't want to believe that. Some of the men, too. They don't even want to go there.
you think because you're gay.
I don't know. But it's any other fucking way, boys. All I know is I just love the job.
They do a good job of exploring different issues. Of course, racial issues with gay rights, sexuality, that kind of thing. But they're doing it in the context of life. It's not preachy. They're not shoving it in your face. They're letting you observe the situation and take from it what you will. Oh, he's back at the club. Listen to Ja Rule. Look at that. Girl back there looked naked. I wouldn't. Ooh. Titties make me happy in pants. Holla, I'm a 5'2" wannabe gangster. I'm gonna fuck up Fire Festival. My acting ability is horrible. It's got enough nos in there to blow itself up. Period. Ja Rule's acting performance in The Fast and the Furious is one of the most atrocious fucking things I've ever seen. It's just horrible. No! Monica! Look at those stacks of cash. That makes me happy in pants too. God damn. Maybe I should have dated a stripper. 'Cause I'm in love with a stripper. Was that Usher? He wanted to get pegged by that bitch. And fucking Stringer, he looks like an executive, dressed up like a businessman.
Money check day.
Doing good out there, D.
Their whole little operation runs out of the office back here. They got the liquor storage, they got the huge safe. This is where they count the money.
Hey, what?
You don't know pack. Just gonna put that same shit out of a different color jet.
So they're rebranding their bunk shit, just putting it a different color gel cap, calling it something else, and it's still this stepped on, weak ass shit.
No matter what we call heroin.
And Stringer's gonna spell out what we were just talking about earlier.
Shit is weak. You gonna see
No matter what, they're gonna buy it because they need it. They are gonna chase that fucking fix. What's crazy is how fleeting it seems. Seems like that fix lasts like fucking half hour, an hour, few at the most, and then they're right back on it. They're right back to chasing it immediately. Seems like the satisfaction is just not there.
that's a bonus right there. You make sure you buy something that you won't otherwise.
I like that. I actually remember that. It's a bonus. Make sure and buy something that you wouldn't otherwise. I have tried to implement that since I heard that from him because I think that is a bonus is a reward, right? It's extra. So you should reward yourself and get something extra or go out and be extra. Look at this girl with her booty. Looks like she doesn't have much of a booty, actually. It's the way she's standing. But I walk up behind it and rub tip of my nose in her booty hole. Leave them on. I don't mind a girl with glasses. Makes me feel like I'm getting you to do something dirty you wouldn't do otherwise.
Larry.
And he's buying something he wouldn't otherwise.
Here's my uncle's place.
You came to Orlando?
He's gonna have some drinks with this gal pal.
Orlando's like the upfront man, you know.
My uncle's like the money man, the important one who makes the decisions.
Where you from?
Right here.
I know Baltimore, but like where?
How common is it for people to ask what part of a certain city you're from? People around here are guilty of saying that they live in Portland when, I say I live in Portland. I live outside of Portland. But unless you live in in this area pretty close to here, the reference to the little suburb I live in that's just a few miles outside of Portland makes no never mind to you. So I just make it easy and say Portland. But I don't think, I didn't move here till I was already in high school. I don't think that there's like a west, east, south, north beef of any kind where people are like, fuck the east side of Portland, west side, motherfucker. There is a definite divide though. All the nice shit is on the west side.
Bingo.
Like what everybody thinks of classically as downtown Portland, that's all on the west side. The Rose Garden is on the east side, though, I think. It's not called the Rose Garden anymore. It's the Moda Center, but that's where the Blazers play. Speaking of the Blazers, 4th seed, locking it down in the West. Looks like we might play the Clippers. That'd be dope because I think we can beat I think we can beat the Clippers easily in a 7-game series, especially with home court advantage. I'll take it. I might even go to a game.
Have your torn canvas by Versace. Stained sweatshirt by Ralph Lauren.
Where's your mic?
How about that, man?
I like this scene too because it shows you the details that would need to be considered in real life and that they considered when writing the show. Bubbles is about to school him right here. About to tell you or tell him why
Nasty son of a bitch.
how he would stand out among other fiends.
What you think?
This your man, huh?
Yeah,
Bubbles is one of the smartest characters in the fucking show, but the most troubled. You been sleeping outside and shit.
What's this here? It's my wedding ring. Shit, you married to the needle, boy.
You got nothing of value except what you're wearing.
There, get one. You can stand to lose about 20 pounds.
Maybe I should just go somewhere and do some heroin for a few months.
Okay, so maybe I should go out and shoot up some dope for about a year. I'm just saying, man.
The shoes thing is the best part. Coming up here. Let me see the bottom of your shoes.
Go down them towers, man. They gonna check everything.
Yo, how about the shoes? I mean, I know you ain't got no problem with the shoes.
As fucked up as they are.
Walking down them alleys of the pod.
Too clean.
Dead soldiers. The empty vials. You can't walk down the Baltimore.
Wonder why they call empty vials dead soldiers. Casualties of war.
Check the bottom of his shoes. Okay? Have him dance on some empties before we go out there. He does kill.
God damn, Bubbles is smart. He should.
You know what you're feeling?
A little bit.
If he just had a different path to go down, he could have been something special. He does write it later in the series, but fuck. What a waste of a portion of a life. Damn, that boombox is out of sight. Out of sight? What the fuck was? Bro, that's a righteous boombox, man. It's out of sight. Does it have an 8-track in it? Yes, it does, and it plays do 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 do. You know the day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Break on through to the other side. Do 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 do. That's cool, bro. Why don't you turn that 8-track off and hit this dude with me right quick? Alright, alright, alright. Little baby Levi got the perfect push-up. So now they're using Sidnor, the dude that's dressed up and hanging with Bubbles, to do what they call controlled buys. So they're sending a cop in to buy drugs. So he is a witness. He has a first-hand account of them selling drugs. They're also, Kima's taking pictures of the drug buys so that they have proof. This is all building towards building a court case. It's all documentation along the way to verify what they did and what they found.
You wanna go back in?
Wonder what they do with the heroin. They just let Bubbles have it? They have to keep some of it? They have to present it to the judge? Because obviously you're not going to publish your findings until the culmination of your case. A lot of that shit's got to get lost in the mix. Probably some crooked cops that got a slinging deal on the side. And I don't mean that to cast shade on all cops. But just like in all walks of life, there's bad people.
You get to see where the money went after you had it all.
And Sidnor going to come to the conclusion that the audience knows, which is you're not going to get up to the high-level people by these fucking little hand-to-hand buys and taking pictures, because you're not dealing with anybody that matters. He says that. He says you don't give any money to anybody that matters. You don't get any product from anybody that matters.
You were upstairs and out of pocket, so
Out of pocket. I guess that wasn't a derogatory term then. Out of pocket just meant you were gone, but acting out of pocket, it's like acting a fool. Getting uppity. A little too big for your britches.
the boss made it
acting out of pocket.
I need you to scratch together everything you got from hand to hands and shape it into pieces for the walls. If you don't get she's released.
So Daniel is getting pressure from upstairs to produce results. So they're supposed to use the little piddly ass information they have. And the information they have gathered has only helped them understand exactly how complex the system is. They don't have their arms wrapped around it at all. They don't know where the stashes are. They don't know where the money goes. They don't have any of that shit. They just have some low-level people on photo selling drugs, taking money. And the higher-ups want Daniels to try to manufacture some type of a raid and seizure out of that, which is just fucking ridiculous. It's people at desks looking at numbers and spreadsheets and wanting their results and not knowing how shit works on the ground, in the field.
But nothing you can do except pound out some probable cause.
So they're trying to kill the case before it gets too deep. It's the dumbest shit. But at the same time, how can I be pissed off when they must not have the funding to be able to, or the people, the resources, to pursue all this different shit. Jimmy isn't able to investigate murders while he's doing this. What are we, is this Ronnie's? Yep. So now is when we find out that, we found out earlier that Jimmy got divorced because he was cheating. And now we figure out who with. He was sleeping with the district attorney. But he's a pwn hound. He's not the only girl that he pursues throughout the course of the series. His ex-wife is fucking hot, though. My God. Oh.
You show up at my door at 9 o'clock to ask me that?
McNulty is smart, though. He knows that the pager is the way in, and the pager becomes the symbolic thing for a lot of the season. What's funny is Motorola pagers have that trademark. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Back in the day, when I was the manager of an apartment complex, I had an emergency pager. And it had that exact tone. And when it would go off, I would get this fucking burst of anxiety. You know, like, oh my God, what's wrong that I have to deal with? I fucking hate this shit. And it traumatized me so much that years later, after I was done with that job, I would watch this show and I would hear that sound and my heart would jump again. So Daniels told him that they have to try to wrap it up and get a bust, and McNulty's like trying to figure out ways to dig in deeper. Total fucking contrarian. You tell him to jump and he says why. Which is my kind of guy. Unless I know that there's an established hierarchy where you're the one who tells me to jump and I need to listen, and I'm concerned about something in the future, if I don't listen, I might say how high. But if you're just a person and you're just like, jump, I'm going to say why. And now he ends up fucking her, even though she didn't want it. She said she didn't want it. Her body wanted it. Her heart didn't. It's so sad. Home is where the heart is. But Ronnie's box is where Jimmy's cock is. It's probably got a cock in one hand, B in the other. It's probably a fucking queer. It's an ego thing. He cares. It's to help bolster his ego, like he performed well. I don't ever do that. I don't ever look over and go, "You? Did you come? You could." We just do our thing. I don't hear any complaints. So, never like, well, how many times? Can you put a star up on my sheet? Can I get a teardrop tattoo? I'm allowed to mark this down on my calendar. I can put it in the record book. You did come? Sweet. I'm a badass. That's awesome. Righteous. Well, me and the band are gonna rehearse, so. Oh, I think they're about to get jacked. Mm-hmm. Lake trout. I think that's a marketing term. I think that's some bullshit garbage fish. But D'Angelo's about to go grab a bite. And they're going to get jacked by Omar and his crew. Because they've been staking the place out. They know where the money is. They know where the drugs are. Doing a better job than the cops. Because they're less obvious. They're not as conspicuous. And they know where the vulnerabilities are and when. So they about to get stuck up. I gotta take another piss. I don't know why I said another. I gotta take a piss. It's not my first one, I guess.
Get your ass down. Sit your stupid ass down. Get the fuck down. Shit,
So we don't know much about Omar yet, but this is what he does for a living. He robs drug dealers, and he's fucking good at it. Fish gotta swim, yo. Omar's got the best lines. He's the hardest character. He's just fucking gangster to the core, but also gay. And yo, go on and get that. This is a well-constructed plan. As I learned from the movie The Italian Job, victory loves preparation. Being prepared, sometimes in vain. When it pays off, see, he looked at him sideways there like he was pissed off that he said his name, but later he says it's no thing. So I don't know why the look. Oh, excuse me. Shot Mike in his hind parts. Now, D'Angelo's about to roll up it. Wolf got in the chicken coop. Bubbles watched the whole thing happen. Oh, fuck. How does somebody who's that strung out on heroin have the memory that Bubbles does? That's what I don't understand. Does heroin not affect you that way? Is it just in and out of your system? It does some physical damage, but mentally you're good? Like, I'm picturing if somebody was smoking weed like that, just all day, every day, living that life, just entrenched in it, their memory would not be reliable. Especially short term like that. And he probably wouldn't notice half the shit going on anyhow.
I'm not going.
But I suppose he's only out and amongst the people when he's sober. He's in his crack house when he's got shit.
Now got you showing me up in front of the whole damn detail. I don't mean to show anybody up. No. I got police work to do.
Jimmy wants to die on his sword. He's gonna be a martyr for the cause.
I'm not
the position he's putting Daniels in is fucked up. Daniels has now got to justify why the fuck you weren't there. And everybody above him already hates you. So if it looks like he's covering for you and he's letting you run wild, they might put somebody else in there that they think can control you. They're about to go on this bullshit bust. They don't even know what the fuck they're aiming at. Dumbass Herc's back. Head still bandaged up from conducting field interviews in the projects at 2 in the morning. And Presbolewski's stuck on office duty because he's a fucking asshole.
Nah, motherfucker. It ain't just up to staking to be muscle. You got the pick. Your people supposed to be ready for the re-up.
So now D'Angelo's getting his ass chewed for getting jacked.
But where you at? You in a goddamn sandwich shop.
Sandwich. He's in a goddamn sandwich shop.
And you ain't even around to see that shit right. No, thinking was what you wasn't doing. And now
This doesn't seem like something that Weebay would be talking to D'Angelo about. Right now it makes sense, it's okay, but later on when we see kind of the roles of the organization, seems like he'd get pulled in and have to talk to Stringer about this. Generic ass rape van, the kind that says free candy on the side and has a dude with a fishing rod in there. What are you talking about? Kind of van. As I'm sitting here, I'm feeling my fucking shin bone and realizing how sharp it is on the edge. God damn. Those kicks pay off. Like when my leg is totally relaxed, I can really push in on there and feel like the narrow edge of my shin bone. The broadside. See, that's why Anderson Silva broke his leg when he was fighting Chris Weidman. He was hitting him with the broadside of his shin bone instead of with the edge. Think about if you took a ruler and you put the broadside against your knee and you apply pressure on each end, it's going to snap like nothing. Now put the narrow end against your knee and apply pressure. You'll never break that thing that way. It would have to twist and to the broadside, then you would break it. Talking over this fairly important moment, Bodie just clocked the lazy ass old cop who's gonna catch a lucky break, and now they are whomping his ass for it, and they're gonna get away with it because he threw one punch at this dumb fuck old cop. Granted, that's really stepping out of line, punching a cop. You shouldn't be doing that, but the punishment weighted against the action. I don't know. Plus, from like a character standpoint, from like a man-to-man, that dude deserved a punch in the chops. That guy fucking sucks. Doesn't contribute. Vote his ass off the island. They went in there gangbuster style. This guy's going to be important later on. That's why we're focusing on his face so much. And of course, they don't have the right location for the stash. They didn't know where they were going. They had to guess. The stash moves. So they went based off the information they had from the last time. And they were wrong. Plus, they're completely unaware that the stash just got jacked the night before. You got nothing, motherfucker. Now, who's the asshole? And McNulty didn't really miss out on much. But he's just sitting in his car drinking alone. Like, oh, he's mating it up with Officer Fitzhugh. This is funny. I can tell you were never in patrol.
I can tell you were never in patrol.
That's why when you see two cop cars, when the cops are talking to each other, they're always facing in opposite directions. And so the driver's windows are next to each other. and they can scramble quickly. It's an effective formation.
I don't want to tell you in front of the girl. Her being from narcotics and all. Daniels is dirty.
Ooh.
That run your case?
So Special Agent Fitzhugh saying that Daniels is dirty, and we get hints of this throughout the series, and Daniels even acknowledges and explains the problem, but it never really comes to light. He avoids having to face that music. So basically, he's got more assets than he should. It doesn't make sense where he got the money for this stuff. And he explains in the later seasons that he came up in a corrupt unit, and he was taught a corrupt way, and he was just doing what he knew, and he righted course later, but unfortunately those mistakes are still in his past. And I think it's Daniels that gives the speech later in the series that if you show them it's about the work, it'll be about the work. If you show them some other game, then that's the game they're going to play. And he's speaking from experience there. Coming up, he was shown another game, and that's the game he played. And that's why he has this extra money and liquid assets. Whereas, if coming up he was shown that it's all about the work, that would have been his main pursuit, and he never would have got caught up in any of that and had that hanging over his head the entire time. So we end the last episode with McNulty finding that out, which, if you're just beginning the series and you don't know what comes to follow, that is a big cliffhanger, because we think that Daniels is on our side, so to speak, at this point. He's a good guy. He's pure. And so to find out that he may be compromised in that way and not above board and not trustworthy is a big shock. Of course, I've seen the series so many times that it's not one of the better cliffhangers to me, because once you know what happens in the future, it doesn't play anymore. But we got our first introduction to Omar. We got our introduction to the higher-ups trying to wrap up the case abruptly and preemptively. A snippet of Freeman doing some investigative work. Of course, the cop gets punched. Bodhi's going to get arrested for that. And D'Angelo got jacked. That is kind of the summary of the episode. So, look out for me to keep doing the series, couple episodes a week, mixing in my movie commentaries along the way. Appreciate you guys listening. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Until the next time, this is Devin saying, be easy.